I'm checking the protrusion of the third piston above the cylinder block. As we can see, the block is 2.0 and the piston is 2.31. Well, here the piston moves a little back and forth. If you move it, for example, now it'll be around 20 something, and if you push it down, it'll be over 40. Well, in general. The average value is 0.3 millimeters, which is our minimum allowable piston protrusion above the cylinder block. Well, that's exactly what I wanted, to make this value the minimum. So, 2 pistons are already installed. Now I'm installing the first one, also taking measurements, and then I'll work on the other side. I won't show all of this on camera anymore because I just want to finish this engine as quickly as possible. Filming takes quite a lot of time, so I'll be assembling without the camera from now on. Alright, so I've installed all the pistons, installed the counterweights, everything is already tightened. So the crankshaft and the pistons are all done. Next I'll be closing the rear cover, the flywheel housing. So I've prepared the housing as well. Here I've installed a new crankshaft and the gear, and installed a new oil seal here. Well, obviously I washed everything, cleaned it, degreased it, and already applied a thin layer of sealant on both sides here. Here are the gaskets. Subscribe to my channel since the camshaft is new. I checked the axial play of the camshaft both without sealant and in general. I took measurements. Now I'll tighten everything up and show you what the axial play will be at the thrust area of the camshaft. Subscribe. I also applied some assembly paste to the timing gear walls and I checked the timing marks. You can see them on the pointer. We have a single mark and there are 2 dots on the camshaft, so as usual I double checked everything. Subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to my channel. So I installed the cover, tightened it, and put this tool, which comes with the seal, onto the seal. Well, because the engine arrived without a flywheel, and the customer also didn't purchase a flywheel. He'll either transfer it from his engine, or the engine generally has no flywheel or clutch. So that's how it will be sent to the customer, with this alignment tool, so that the oil seal doesn't get compressed. Next, I'll be closing the oil pan. Subscribe to my channel, I'm already prepared. Here we have a gasket for the oil pan, a new oil pump, a new original pressure relief valve, and here I have the oil pump pickup, the oil pan mounts. I'm closing everything up, the oil pan. Right here, installed on the pulley. We're already turning the engine over. I'll be closing the cylinder heads. As usual, I'll rotate the engine. Check the numbers, the covers, the channel. Tempos Motru. Subscribe to my channel. My counterweights are in place. I'll check how the injectors fit into the recess on the piston. Basically, as usual, I'm double checking everything. And then I'll close up the piston channel. So I turned the engine over, set it here on the mounts, already installed the starter and also installed the alternator. Here's the bracket for the alternator, the engine. Here's the tensioner pulley. Basically, I already did some work off camera, so I turned the engine over. And now my task is to close it up, install the heads. As I mentioned earlier, there are 105 of them. We'll have new ones from the company, and here are 4 of them packed. I've already opened one, showed it, measured how much I have, the distance between the valves and the piston. So this one is already open, like the old one during the last repair. It was replaced a year ago in the spring, also with a new one. So there was 1 new one and 5 original factory ones left. Now we're replacing the remaining 5 factory heads. So basically all 6 heads are new now. So what am I going to do with the heads? Well, since they're new, there's pretty much nothing that needs to be done with them. So now I'm going to unpack them, and what the customer asked me to do is to install valve stem seals from a specific brand. So my task now is to unpack the heads, remove the valve keepers, take off the caps that are installed and fit the new seals. I'll say right away that it's impossible to remove the seals without damaging them, so I will ruin them. Of course, I'll give them to the customer, but in any case, it's impossible to remove them without damaging them. That's it. So there's just a little bit left to prepare, assemble the compressor, install the fuel system, paint it, pack it, and send it to the customer. I don't know. I want to get all this done as quickly as possible because, as I already mentioned, the repair of this engine has been delayed a lot. The customer is already getting nervous and is not happy. And I don't really like it myself either. Well, it's what it is. So I installed the cylinder heads, tightened them. First, we torque to 100 Newton meters, then 200, and then we make marks along the way. First 190-degree turn marks, and again all the heads are tightened. Next, I will install the fuel equipment injectors, pump line nozzle sections. The fuel system was repaired, the nozzles on the injectors were replaced. Here are the old nozzles, and I also already installed these washers and copper cups, put in new ones. So on the sections we replaced one roller. I think it was on the third section. And I also replaced the rubber bands, two of them. So here are the old ones. This is the upper one, this is the lower one. Here they are. From the injectors, from the fuel lines, from the so-called carrots. So now I'm lubricating the rubber bands with assembly paste in the block as well. Also lubricating with assembly paste. And then I'm installing the sections. Then installing the injectors. I've fitted the bolts. These are the bolts for securing the sections. Then I install the fuel lines, and after that I'll adjust the valves and close the valve covers. And basically there won't be much work left after that. I think today or tomorrow I should finish assembling it, paint it, pack it up and send it off. I adjusted the rocker arm and the valves. Okay. To adjust the valves, we need to bring the first cylinder to top dead center on the compression stroke. Okay, and turn the engine clockwise until we get valve overlap on the fifth cylinder. One valve finishes closing, the other starts opening. Okay, when we have valve overlap on the fifth cylinder, that's top dead center on the compression stroke for the first cylinder. And in this position, we adjust the following valves. So I set the clearances, intake valve at 0.4 millimeters, exhaust valve at 0.6 millimeters. I've adjusted all the valves. Next I close the valve covers, but this part is already without the camera. I laid out some tubes. Here's the return line up to the valve cover. I take the compressor and then, when it's installed and assembled, ready to work, here's this cover. I'll lay out the remaining tubes here, and basically we close everything up, including the air manifold. So it's the next day already. Yesterday I didn't have time to paint the engine. Basically, I was busy with small things all day, working without the camera. So I installed this cover, the breather. I also took it apart, cleaned everything, washed the membrane, checked it. There are springs, and the breather is new. I also assembled the compressor yesterday. As for the compressor, we have a new crankshaft, a new bushing, a new cylinder, and new valves. I assembled everything the same way. I laid out all the tubes here, also for the 501 with these tubes, one after another. So, if you install something at the wrong time, you might break it later. Simon, I don't remember if I showed it or not. I installed the thermostats. We still had the old ones. I installed the heat exchanger, moved the grill, and the radiator, cleaned and flushed everything. As you would expect, we have a new oil filter and fuel filter, and I also installed the air conditioning compressor. I didn't want to install it at first, but you can't attach the bracket otherwise, so I ended up installing everything as it was before. The air intake manifold, the top plate, and I'll be preparing the engine for painting. Then I'll install the exhaust manifold and the turbocharger. The turbocharger was repaired. It's over there. I haven't unpacked it yet. And I hope that today I'll finally finish it. This manifold is different. As I showed before, it was broken during transportation. We bought this part, a used manifold, and we're installing it.